Some of the game's best are back in action for our round 5 teamless analysis. Latrell Mitchell is returning. He's actually returning in the centres, which is pretty crazy. We get Leo Thompson back there and Watson and Cleary. Welcome additions to my fantasy side there, and I cannot wait for it. So, Raiders and the Sharks kick things off. From the Raiders side of things, I'm interested to see how this game goes. We've got Hiroti on the Sharks side, just my first little glance there. But from the Raiders, we do see Starling in there starting again with Owen Paddy in the 14. Morgan Smithies does return to this bench, and we do unfortunately lose Trey Mooney from this side, who has had a few decent games and just didn't get many minutes last week. So it made sense why he was in the lower was going to be dropped out of this side. How we see this forward pack shaping out, I do probably expect Nicholson to go back to some slightly lower minutes and probably just hit the 65 minutes on that right edge. And I think he does need some attacking stats to score pretty well. That first game just worked out perfectly for him, and he hasn't had any turnover tackles or the big tackle break numbers or anything like that since, which is interesting to see. And he got fairly close a few times on the weekend, but he's definitely someone on my list of potential guys that we do need to upgrade if he goes to that 65 minutes. And he's made good cash right now, and that may slow down unless the attacking stats do come. For their outside backs, Tamale, is he someone you want to play this week? I'm not sure. I just don't see him getting a lot of ball down that left-hand side. And as I said, the puck stops with Ethan Strange, and will that continue to happen? And will this Sharks team bounce back? Will the Raiders be able to play really well at home? There's a few question marks around that, and if we do play Tamale, or if we're too excited about his score coming in. Hopefully for Starling owners, he does get some decent minutes, and Horsburgh, I think, will be pretty similar to the minutes that we have seen from him, but he is named a 13 with Smithies off the bench, who looks to be in more of a running forward type of role rather than a 13 role. With the Sharkies, we see Talakai miss out on this side, with Tapua, Rudolph, and Toby Hazelton does return in place of him there. For their forwards, guys like Adam Fanua-Blake and Cam McInnes are two of the best in the game, and they should be on that top list of mids, I think, by the end of this season. And you saw their value in this side when the chips were down on the weekend, and it was a closer game, and they needed those two guys out in the park. They pushed them for some extra minutes, and there will be other games where they aren't needed to play those huge minutes. But if this is a close game, I definitely think they'll be needed for that. With Nico Hines and Britton Nickera we're on the watch for them, I think, going into this next couple of weeks with how they play and their scores. Panthers and the Cows. 6 p.m. game on Friday for them. For the Panthers, we see Cleary back with Jack Cole, so that's good news there. Tom Jenkins keeps the centre spot, so that's a win for us, with Casey McLean going on the wing there. And look, to be honest, I don't rate it as much as having Brian To'o next to him, but I still think he's a great pick this week and someone that you can trust against the Cowboys. He's coming up against Vialea there and Robert Darby, so I definitely think they'll target that right hand side defensively. And Jenko and McLean are going to be a part of that with Jack Cole in there, and he's definitely someone you could play this week. Cole, his defensive numbers were awesome, and he did get involved in the attack. And Panthers can't play too much worse than what we saw last week. So without some of the kicking and general play you got, if he can make those good tackle numbers again, I think he'll be sweet. Their forward pack, we see Isaiah Papali'i move into the back row with Scott Sorensen missing the week, which is interesting if that's actually going to stick as well, or if they end up playing Liam Henry there, who's also coming back from an injury there. Papali'i is still, with that knock to Sorensen, only played like mid to high 30s minutes, so that's the worry with Isaiah, and it's probably only 1 week, so I don't know if you could go in and target him. But Isaiah in the 13, it looks like with the bench that they've got, he'll continue to play the 80 minutes. And Trent Talau coming out of this side after his knee injury and with Cleary coming back, the GOAT. For the Cowboys side, nothing changes. So when you're looking at that, I spoke in the next 3 games impact video earlier today, so go check that one out, about the Cowboys being not a team you probably want to target in the next stretch of games, given the tough ones they've got here away from home, and a bye in a couple of weeks. Jake Clifford scoring well. If you want to take a point of difference play on him, then you can. And then Bateman, if you held on to him then that good score last week would keep you satisfied enough and for an easy enough hold again. For the Roosters up against the Bunnies, we don't see Billy Smith come into the side. He's still sitting in the reserves in at 21. Hugo Savala comes out of this team along with Victor Radley, and we see Zach Clay go back to 14 with Spencer Leniu. Fogarty is returns to the side, and Blake Steep with Siwa Wong keeping his spot on that edge. And I think he's crazily enough, he was a good pick 2 weeks ago. He was a good pick last week, and he's still a great pick now. And I don't know if we have exact news on what's his name? Victor Radley. Cheekbone. We need to find out a bit more information, because I think if we find out he's out for a little bit, not sure at this point. Nat Butcher could be an interesting play, but I think Wong's a really good pick this week as well. And great to see Connor Watson returning there, and I think he'll play the big minutes again, moving from the 9 position to 13 and playing some good minutes there. And with that setup, does Butcher play sort of 50 odd in the middle and not move out to the edge? Maybe he moves out to the edge if they've got a few problems, but this situation looks like Siwa Wong, big minutes, and just looks like a walk-up 50, as I keep saying. So if you're interested in jumping on, I'm tempted myself. But no Billy Smith means Rob Toya and Nwangani Tawaze keep their spots. But the problem here is that Latrell's going to be running on that left-hand side, and he's going to be coming up against Rob Toya. So it's not looking ideal, in my opinion, for guys like Tamale and Toya this week, who are both in our sides, and well, most of our sides anyway. And yeah, could be a bit of a stressor for us. But Nafahu White, a great purchase still. I think for one more week, he's averaging 57.5 and price under about that 42, 43. So still a bit of value there. The dual position is all good, and there's no reason with this interchange that he doesn't continue to play in the 50s minutes there with Wong as well. So those two guys have been really dominant, and Angus Crichton, a good purchase, definitely, and continues to be. Now that he's dropped a little bit in price, and I do think that boom game for Nwangani Tawaze is going to come. He played really well and copped a head knock last game, and I think he would have been 50 plus, and this can definitely be a fun game for him against likely to be Jack Whiten and Michaela Ravalawa on that side, which they didn't defend terribly last week. It was definitely better than the week before, but they played really well last week also. So it's going to be a fun clash, and with Latrell back, I think it's going to be hard not to tip the Bunnies. Jai Gray keeps his spot at 1 too. That's awesome to see. If you're interested in Latrell as a fantasy or supercoach player, I think at centre you can't do it. Wait to see his price probably drop a little bit. Will he kick in general play? Yeah, I think he still will. If they get out to that left-hand side, is Humphreys going to kick a little bit less? Potentially. Is he going to lose the goal kicking? Potentially. He's been kicking him fairly well at the moment. Do they just give Latrell a couple of weeks to get back into the swing of things, help them out in the centres, and then take back the goal kicking and take back the 1 position? I think that could be pretty good long term. But even without the goals, Humphrey's been awesome, and I think he should have another good game there. Keep playing Pete Mamazelis and Hub Daddy. Hub Daddy returns at 13. And looking at this bench, it's Sullivan, Havili, Duncan, and Moale. I think you're pretty safe for him to play pretty close to that 50 minutes again. It's basically the same team that he was playing in those first couple of games before his suspension. And it feels like a fairly safe play as well this week. So if you've got Hubner, if you're interested in buying him, then not a problem at all. Go for it. Moving on to the next one, as I said, we just got to find out about Victor and where he's at. Let's go to Eels up against the Dragons. Riley Smith in the 9 jersey. Holy. And Dylan Walker at 14. Luca Moretti, Sam Tuivasa, Dan Kerr. Brendan Hands in 21. Joey Lussick, what happened to him? Joey Lussick is out. Has been named to start hooker in place of Joey Lussick. And good to see Bailey Simonson named in reserve. So no chat on Lussick. Did anything happen to Lussick last week? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, that'd be helpful. I'm not sure on that one, but that's big news for any owners of him. And if he continues to start and goes back to bigger minutes and he goes 60 plus or something like that, then that could be awesome for him. I think they might just be going, well, our team's in shambles this year. We may as well give him his opportunity to play big minutes and start and see what he can do. And if that's the case, and maybe Walker plays a little bit at 9 in this setup, then that's cool. I think if he gets 60 odd minutes or 60 minutes or something like that, that'll be awesome for him. and I'll definitely have to plan on having a look at him coming into the next few weeks. He's coming off a slightly lower couple of weeks, and minutes wise, and he's near that 300k mark without eclipsing that so far. So definitely look at him coming into the next few weeks. Yongi keeps his spot. I think they play better this week. Can the Dragons defend that well twice in a row? We'll have to see. Nothing else changes in that para side with Volkman, Hands, Simonson, Geimer, and Josh Papali on that reserve. So it's a pretty solid little reserve section, and we're still not seeing any sign of Ryan Madison. Shout out to Sione Finau on the other side with the Dragons there, who's in that jersey 20. But looking at the interchange is where we are interested in. Toby Couchman named to start again. I think with Gula out, he should definitely keep the start now. I think that would be smart for him. But Blake Laurie, Hamish Stewart, and Dylan Egan. All right. Well, who's the forward in this side that plays the most minutes on the bench? I think it's Dylan Egan, given he's going to likely play some minutes through the middle and then move to that edge. It looks pretty stock standard now that that's going to be the play, with Laurie returning, probably not for big minutes. Expect Couchman to go back to some bigger minutes. Clemmer might play a little bit more, closer to the 40 mark, I think, with Gula out, or he could go for some more, but I think 40 seems pretty solid for him. Hopefully in the mid-40s again for anyone looking to buy Dylan Egan. I'm definitely interested in myself. Hamish Stewart has actually been cleared of a facial fracture, so he stays in this side and is great for anyone who did buy him. You can easily hold off now, and I'd suggest you probably do, because with Gula out for 3 weeks with his issues, he should continue getting those mid-30s minutes and go back to some decent scores. And we had him as a pretty good buy last week, and I think that he can stay that way just with some better PPM, and we should be able to get that against the Eels there. So yeah, Gula with his 3-game ban just helps Couchman, it helps Egan, it helps Hamish Stewart, and yeah, basically all of those guys. Titans, we see Brimson and Campbell still together. Their back 7 exactly the same, with no sign of AKP as yet. Sean Mullaney in the interchange at number 14. So who comes out? Verrills is out. That means Chris Randall's in at 9. What happened to Verrills? Did I miss that? Hip. Okay. Did we see that last week from Verrills? Potentially. Didn't even play the full 80, did he? And then Fasil Malawi, Isaac Variety is out with an ankle injury. So Pahulu is listed amongst the reserves. And yeah, so Fafita still off the bench. Jolliffe returns there. And Brock Ray. So how's that going to work for Cleese Haas? Is he going to play any more minutes? Randall will be fun. He always plays well when he goes to 9 or in at 13. One of the two. Seems to do a good job. And I think he'll continue helping this side. Verrills, we know, is a very good player as well. But yeah, he's Randall will do a job. Against this Dolphins side, it'll be interesting to see how they go against each other. The back 7 stays the same. Hamiso stays a fullback, doesn't go to centre. I was just listening to Bloke in a Bar, and they were discussing that one, that they would move him to centre, and fair enough, their defence in the centres has not been good enough. But with Averillo not being the best player on that left-hand side, it's a bit of a worry for sure, and could be good for guys like Brimson on the other side, and Kelly and Francis on that side. For their forwards, we see Gilbert out the week. Could be thank goodness for people that do own him. But Ray Stone, Kenny Brom, Nichols, and Donahue on the bench, with Max Plath going to 13, Connolly Lemuelu slotting back into that edge role, and probably goes back to the bench for one of those guys. Probably Kenny, I'd say, comes out next week. So yeah, there's not too many guys I'd look at as options in here, apart from Herbie, who continues to just get the job done. And I'm thinking it's going to be Herbie try week. So if you're keen on that, go for it. But yeah, not too much else to say on that one. The last Saturday night game is Broncos up against the Tigers, and it's good to have April Fool's Day done for team lists anyway. But Shibasaki keeps his spot along with the rest of the back line there. Their starting 13 is exactly the same. And except for Jordan Ricky, what happened to him again? Suspended, that's right. 1 to 2 weeks for him, so he's out a week. P. Kuru moves into the starting side. We knew that was coming. And yeah, just the 1 week, so not too much else to say on that one. Goz survives a week, should get some decent minutes, although Jaden Hunt is in the 17 and will cover for one of them, I think. I think one plays 80, the other one doesn't. Who's that going to be is the question mark. On the Tiger side, Dewey has been named, so that's nice to see. I haven't heard much around his him being a laid out, but I think with them taking no real chances is probably a good idea with someone of his caliber and his injury history. I think that was smart. Good to see the rest of their back five the same, apart from La Lily coming in Skelton was named, and then Fatape ended up playing. You got Jerome Luai out, which means, who's at 6? Latu Fainu gets to 7. So what happened there? Who's out? So Fatape doesn't make the side. So Dewey comes back in. Okay, and just La Lily instead of Fatape in the end. Okay. There you go. That's interesting. How'd it work out like that? Okay. Thought that he'd probably keep his spot, but apparently not. Latu Fainu, I thought he was good last week, hey. Came out and did a good job off the bench there. Seyfarth keeps his spot. If you got Twiley, hold those guys. Get Terrell May go back-to-back 80s, and is he a great captaincy option? Yeah, potentially. I don't know if he'll go back-to-back 80 minutes, especially with without the injuries. Let's see if they do have any. And do we expect Payne Haas to go sort of 50-odd minutes or 60 minutes this week, or keep up near the 70 and still be the best captaincy option? I've got him, May, and Cleary all as really good captaincy options this week, and it's very, very difficult to separate them. The Eagles up against the Storm. Lehigh Hopewadi at the back, that was expected. Clayton Falalo comes in as well, like he did a couple of weeks ago. Their rest of their 13, Brown, Tavanga, Tax, Olakuatu, and both Trebojeviches, that's cool. And then their bench, Sipley's in that 17 as well. So LOA comes out, and Tom Trebojevic of that side, and Ducel Tommy. Looks like he'll be out all the way up until their bye, I think is how it's going to work out. Nathan Brown moves to prop, with LOA dropping out for Sipley. And for the Storm, we do see Jerome Hughes in the reserves, which is good fun. Interchange, Lazarus is on there. The rest of it looks pretty similar. Eli Katoa gets his spot. I'm interested in him in Supercoach. Howarth, Anderson, yeah, all the same back there. Good to see Pap get through that last game. And Munster and Wishart doing their thing. Harry Grant, much better score from him last week, which was nice. And Marion Seve just comes out of that side, who did end up playing in their 17 instead of Vailepu. So there you go. Not much else to say on the Storm, guys. You got a few options in there. We know the drill now. There's always options in Storm. You can count Pat, Howarth, Munster, probably not Wishart now. Harry Grant, definitely an option. Eli Katoa, great on a regular basis. So always lots of options. And then Hughes, when he comes back and potentially loses a bit of cash, he'll continue to be an option going forward. For the Doggies, the back 7 stays the same for them. And Saluka Fafita gets the start. Interesting. Again, so with Satilli out, they've gone with Saluka Fafita. And then Curtis Moran is on that bench there with Mann, Hayes, and Todd. So congrats to Todd for getting another crack. Yeah. Karaz into 23. That's good news. Be good to see him back very, very soon. Preston, I think you can wait a couple of weeks, get him in round 7. Looking on the night side, they're a little bit more relevant. Guys like Fletcher Sharp, I think, will be on people's lips there. You've got Thomas Kant and Tyson Frizzell named this week. We do have KPP returning the following week, but expect Frizzell to move back to the middle and play a lower minute role, split that with sort of Elliott and go from there. Thomas Cantor, a really interesting option this week, scored incredibly well, 56 tackles and 140 metres or something in the first game he played this year. I was looking at his cup stats, and he's like a mid to early 40s type of guy, surprisingly, across all these New South Wales Cup stats. And he seems to come and have a better PPM when he plays for the Knights. And he actually had a bunch of goals as well. I think he has like 21 goals across his couple of years of playing Cup. So that part's interesting. But Bradman Best scoring really well. Marzu, Ponga, all had a bit of a low game. This will be a tough one for them in this clash. But I think they can all do well in the longer term and really show why they're good. We got wing fullbacks in Ponga, in Marzu and Sharp, and I think are all very, very helpful this week. So, yeah, and then Thomas Cantor, a really interesting sort of 3 to 4 week play if Lucas can get back in that time. That's the problem, is that Lucas would come in definitely for Cantor there, unless KPP was out or Lucas's injury took longer to recover from. that's where the thing is. And if you've used max trades, is Thomas the best play this week? I think he scores well. He's going to be up against Josh Curran, and they seem to use Joshy a fair bit there, and he should get tackles. That right hand side definitely get some work. Usually when it gets out to Stephen Crichton and the like, although it didn't a couple of weeks ago with Preston only having the 60 odd meters. So there's that to think about. But Jermaine McEwen gets his spot on the interchange, which is cool for him. And yeah, that's basically it, I think. Yeah, we'll just find out that information hopefully over the next day or two on Radley. And if I've missed it, let me know in the comments. But I'll go and have a look at that now. That is our Team List Tuesday for round 5. Plenty of information as always. We've got a lot of guys back. So the question's going to be, do you need to trade? Do you want to trade? Well, yes, we all want to trade. Do you need more than 2 trades? Are you going to knock out those 2? And are you going for cheapies because there's a lot of them? Or are you going for mid-range and above? Let me know in the comments what you're thinking. Just do have a big think for yourself rather than just saying, oh, should I just trade this guy for this guy? Do your research. Should have given you my opinion on them here if I think they're a good trade or a trade out, someone you can move on. That type of stuff. You know, you've got Sandon Smith, all these guys that you could definitely use as options to trade out. They've made cash. They've done a job. You know, Yongi hasn't scored very well. Like, you could trade him if you want. Those types of guys, you can have a look at that. Their average isn't great over a 4-game sample size now. So you can decide that one for yourself, I think. So thanks so much for jumping in to get my opinion, and hopefully that just helps solidify your thoughts. And you should trust your thoughts. Have them. Come here, get the final thoughts from me, and if that helps you with the decision making, awesome. And then trust yourself. I think that's the way to do this one. Your own thoughts, come for the help, and then trust yourself for the final choice. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll catch you in the buy, hold, sells, and in Scoop's video later tomorrow.